Council, I'd like to take a motion to come out of executive, please. Motion on the floor. Second, I have a motion on the floor by Councilman Bighorn, seconded by Councilman Chichewala. No discussion, call for the question.
Councilman Rebar?
Yes.
Councilman Shackelford? Oh. Chairman Waller?
Yes.
Councilman Bighorn?
Yes.
Councilman Chichewala?
Yes.
Councilwoman Curry? Councilwoman Curry?
Yes.
Councilman Redcorn?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Council. I'd entertain any motion coming by executive. Hearing none, I'd like to go on with the agenda. This is more of a housekeeping effort on my lease sale. It's that our dates and time had been confirmed before we had this information. So I'd like to entertain a motion of resolution that the council authorize Osage to hold a lease sale on November 29, 2023, other than the date you saw promoted. Is that correct, dear?
Hold on, I got it. Page 20.
I got mine in order.
Yeah, just read it.
I did.
And the minimums need to be on there too.
Minimum lease bonus terms will be the chairman of the Osage Municipal Council is hereby authorized to sign and so support all documents.
What do we usually have a minimum, 45?
They actually had the attachment with it, Joseph.
Okay.
I did review that last night before I crashed. I'll need a motion, please.
So moved.
I need a second.
And what's second?
Sir, the date on our lease sale to availability for the
Had to change.
summit, we had to change that date to November 29th
Okay.
at 10 a.m. at Bartlesville Osage Casino.
Sage Barn.
Thank you.
Now, is this gonna be the new, or the new Bartlesville Casino, or the old Bartlesville Casino? The new one, okay, cool. I didn't know it was gonna be open.
Did anyone chat with BIA saying that's sufficient time?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's what actually Lacey and Cameron was talking, Deputy Director was talking about. She'll give the confirmation once we get the resolution. Is that correct, ma'am?
Yes. Did we say minimum lease bonuses remain the same as the previous?
Yeah, they give a handout. Maybe that wasn't yours, that was theirs, but they were.
They were from the last lease sale, but you guys have the authority to.
Yes, we'll stay with those as attached. Do I have a motion? Did I have
I
one?
want to make a motion, I don't know.
Second, Chichewala, let's call for the question. I went through it, it's not there no more, don't worry. I'll spend all your cash, I have more fun than you did with it.
Chairman Waller?
Yes.
Councilman Bighorn?
Yes.
Councilman Chichewala?
Yes.
Councilwoman Curry?
Yes.
Councilman Redcorn?
Yes.
Councilman Rebar?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And also, you will see the next item is the Osage Mineral Council hereby approves holding the 2023 Oil and Gas Summit on November 29th through December 1st, 2023 at Osage Casino in Bartlesville. I need a motion, please.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
I have a second. I have a motion on the floor by Councilman Redcorn, second by Councilman Bighorn. Call for the question, please.
Councilman Bighorn?
Yes.
Councilman Chichewala?
Yes.
Councilwoman Curry?
Yes.
Councilman Redcorn?
Yes.
Councilman Rebar?
Yes.
Chairman Waller?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. I'd like to have a motion on the meeting minutes approval, please.
Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
do you not?
I do see it. I just read it. Before we get to the agenda, since we don't have a motion, I do need to have one more motion. Osage Mineral Council hereby approves to make a request to Osage Nation Congress to allocate $10,000 to the Oil and Gas Summit account. Chairman of the Osage Mineral Council hereby authorized to sign this resolution on supporting documents. I need a motion. So moved. I have a motion on the floor. I say motion on the floor by Councilman Bighorn, second by Councilman Chichewala. Call for the question, please.
Councilman Tishwala?
Yes.
Councilwoman Curry?
Yes.
Councilman Redcorn?
Yes.
Councilman Rebar?
Yes.
Chairman Waller?
Yes.
Councilman Big Horse?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And thank you. I'll go back to the request for the meeting minutes, motion to adopt. I'll make the motion that we adopt the minute meeting.
Second.
Seconded by, motion by Chairman Waller, seconded by Councilman Tishwala. Call for the question to approve the meeting minutes.
Councilwoman Curry?
Yes.
Councilman Redcorn?
Yes.
Councilman Rebar?
Yes.
Chairman Waller?
Yes.
Councilman Big Horse?
Yes.
Councilman Tishwala?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And thank you.
Chairman.
Yes, sir, Council.
Reading Lacey's email regarding the opportunity we talked about today. Are we gonna address that? All that.
Yeah, I'd like for you to get back with us after we get out of session today.
Okay,
We'll take it to the next item.
okay.
Excuse me, probably our next meeting in
That's
November,
that Continental.
or October. Yes, sir.
Tammy did ask for it to be, so she could include it with the, if you guys decide to see, you know.
What he's talking about?
I don't know.
If I may, if we wanted to go ahead and auction it, are we gonna auction it all as a one big piece of land? Do we wanna auction it away separately and in parcels and pieces? I think I covered everything in your email. I mean, I just asked.
Okay,
Do you want to do the auction is basically?
let's get the responses from all of our council and coordinate that.
Thank you, Chairman. These leases are grouped in 6 groups. That's really geographic. They share common pay patterns. Some of them are consolidated. But because they've been operated by that one entity, there are some other infrastructure sharing amongst it, from what I understand. I'm not familiar with these properties, just what I've heard from the people that come here. I know it's Bartlesville production. I don't know if there's other zones. There's 60+ wells. There's 27 tracks. We've had 5, and one of them still sitting here in our room right today. 5 different local Osage County operators have an interest in these properties. 2 of them were here today. Others have expressed an interest in them. I think that they should go to an auction to get the highest price instead of giving it to one favorite or another. To have somebody tell us, if I get it, I'm gonna drill some wells. Well, who would buy it and not drill some wells? I mean, come on, really, you're gonna buy it just to plug them out?
No.
Right, you're gonna work on them, you're gonna fix stuff up and put it in production. Who wouldn't? Why would you buy it if you weren't going to do that? So for them to throw that in there all the time, well, we'll do this, we'll do that, well, yeah, I would think. But, so I'd like to see the property go to an auction. And the sooner the better. However, I think we should establish a minimum bid for it. The reason I say that is that we're selling 100,000 plus for the equipment. And that's another issue. What kind of document are we going to use for that? We need a bill of sale. Do we warrant the equipment? Probably not. Probably I have some caveat that says you're buying the equipment as is, where is. Don't come cry to us because the electric motor doesn't work, or that the pumping unit I-beam's twisted. So we just need to have those kind of documents. So this is not just selling a lease. And it's not selling a lease with an abandoned wellbore on it. These are shut-in wells. These were producing wells, 25 barrels a day at the time that Mr. Walker got ill. And some of it's just a matter of putting it back on production. So I consider them shut-in producing wells. And so that's what we're selling. We're selling production. and with a lot of upside capabilities. And I think that we need to have an idea of, I think that we should offer this as a block and have a minimum dollar amount established. And then let all the interested parties bid on it. And not tie it into concessions and I'll do this, I'll do that, is let them bid against each other for it in the highest bid, provided that they're all qualified bidders, have at it. But I don't think there's time between now and November the 29th to publish the and to advertise it. I think that we should advertise this outside of Osage County. You know, the superintendent, deputy superintendent, is only going to send out these notices like she has in the past by email, and only the email addresses that she has. All right? And she doesn't have half of the oil and gas producers' addresses. And what about all the people in Denver, in Houston, in Fort Worth, and around the country? How about advertising it a little bit? There's not time to put together a nice fancy colored brochure and send it to all the publications and to send it out to interested parties by November the 29th. And here's another thing. Well records. We need a data room. We need the superintendent to be able to say, any interested party that wants to evaluate these leases or any leases on the cell, they can come around the corner or send their scout. It doesn't have to be them in person, but send a representative over and let them look at the records. And I don't think there's time for the BIA to set up a data room for that property between now and November the 29th. So I'd like to see, this is my personal one of multiple council members here. I'd like to see it sold at an auction. I'd like to set a minimum amount of bonus. And I wouldn't even call it bonus. It's a production deal. We'll sell this production with the leases, for a minimum amount. And then have it far enough in advance that we could advertise it. I think we should advertise it to get more bidders. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you for the comment. We'll take that on the answering of the emails that we have.
Can Mr. Revard, from what I'm hearing, wants to combine everything, sell it off, we hand the reins to him because I'm sure BI's gonna keep coming back with questions. To your best of your ability, put that package together, working with Cammie, and get that thing on the auction block to the next auction.
Well, here's what I'm worried about, if I may. And they've said this out loud in meetings before about advertising. I think it was at our biannual maybe, that I point blank asked them, what do you do to promote us? What did you do last month to promote our mineral estate? If you advertised, if you told anybody about us, well, we don't have the funding, we don't have the staff for that, and we don't have any funds for that. So if we say we would like for you to put together a brochure and put all this data together, they're gonna say, well, we just have Mr. Coder back there in the back and he's busy and we don't have the money to do that. And if we did, we don't have the time to do it between now and 20. Maybe we should put it back on them. Say, here's what we'd like to do. If you took my suggestion about what I just recited, I can tell Cammie, Miss Kennedy, that we would like to have these properties sold as a group, as one package, but we'd like for it to have all this data. We'd like for it to be in the brochure. We'd like for it to be mailed out at most of the major publications. And put it on her to do it and see what she says. Let her say out loud and let her say in writing, we can't do that. Well, I think it's part of their trust responsibility to do that. I think somewhere in their mission statement of the BIA, they're supposed to be helping promote and develop.
Well,
So
30 locations and 4,500, that's 135,000 at a minimum. So we could pass a resolution, we want to sell this thing off as a block with 45 minimum?
No, see, you're missing my whole point. My point is that we're not selling undeveloped acreage, we're selling production. How about looking at it this way, 25 barrels a day? We've had a producer stand right at that table and tell us in open session, you know, it's 25 barrels a day with a little bit of turning on some switches and with very minimal expense, and with a certain amount of ore, capital investment, it could be 50 barrels a day. So I'm saying, we're selling 25 barrels a day of oil production with equipment. And what does a barrel go for? 50,000 a barrel? 60,000 a barrel? That's $1.2 million. So I'd say we open it up with $750,000 maybe. Minimum bid, $750,000. We're selling production.
We got an offer for $750,000.
Well,
That's
just
correct.
saying, let it be the
So
minimum.
let's-
At least have a minimum.
And these guys are telling us, they divided that by 4, but with that money, they're gonna develop it. That's what he just said. So I'm just saying, you know, if we go, let them battle it out, we tell them 4,500, block it all into 30, sell it all off, and let them battle it out. Who's gonna get it?
Yeah, I just feel like that we ought to have a minimum. And here's another thing too, when it comes to this lease sale, I've never felt like the superintendent had the authority to put that one sentence on the bulletin. Especially if she's not gonna mail out the bulletin to the people that are bidding on the leases. That says that the successful bidders are responsible for any wells found on the property. Found by who? And found within what time period? You know, after you die, you know, they're gonna come after your children? And what authority do they have to even say that? It condemns our acreage. It condemns some of our leases. I know that a certain company that came and bought that certain block of acreage that had 100 wells on it, he didn't get a bulletin. He never saw that sentence. And his response was, I'm not plugging a damn one of those 100 wells.
Well, then he can enjoy his term in federal penitentiary. I'm tired of hearing that guy.
Well, at $250,000, that's 25,000 per lease. That's a hell of a lot more.
Now, where are you coming up with $250,000?
You're just breaking down the
You
numbers.
said the minimum for the whole thing was $750,000. I just divided by 30, and it's 25,000.
What did the third have to do with anything?
In any case, I see getting some responses, that we can already see they're variable. Mine is that we look at going into selling one item, encompasses all the leasing. Secondly, I don't need a restriction by a superintendent. You bought it, you own it. You own everything. And that way there won't be any questions later coming back going, oh, this wasn't there, oh, I didn't receive the proper documentation. Because I'm gonna tell you what, right now is probably gonna be the effort I see best for the council is exactly that. We sell it, we tried to look at it ourselves, we can't even get past first base. Let's get it out there. I know that the interested parties here will give it their best shot on production. I know it. I know these folks.
I think she's asking for a minimum too, right, on this?
Right.
So we need to make a decision if it's $750,000, or if it's 45 per. We need to-
Mine's higher than that, yeah. And I'll just leave it at that in open session. Folks, when that lease is done, it comes right back to you in the Minerals Council. You gotta vote whether you accept it. Tribal Council, we ever ran into that problem, we just voted no. Let them come back again.
I'd like to sell it at the auction.
Oh, I believe that's the only way to go.
Okay, what about putting together a package for it to send to interested parties?
I've been waiting to sell this for a year or so. I'm ready to sell whatever we do. We need to get sold. So that's my,
We'll
you know.
request the official effort from them. I know.
Just,
You put it with what we had, because we already have the federal listing.
Here's the thing, if you
I gotta have it out here
If
by
you guys
2
are
weeks.
saying, yes, I want to add the Continental to this, and we don't do a resolution that says we want Continental to go as a group for this amount, It'll grow for what you just passed.
It won't make it.
Minimum.
No.
So you need to do something. Do a, yes, we want to
We're
add
in
it.
agreement.
Well,
No,
so
we don't
let me
want
do
to
it.
add it. We want to raise the minimum to this, or
No,
we don't want it to.
I see what you're
Oh,
saying.
excuse me. First of all, the status of these wells, 60-plus wells, have been told to us to our face, disrespectfully, I might add, that these are wells, we don't care what you do with them, they're gonna be on your orphan well list, and you can do with them what you want. That's what they told us, all right? They told us that in a meeting, all right? So we do with them what we want. If we want to put them on this lease sale, when you send out the bulletin, when there's a notice that's sent out requesting nominations, it's really a notice that we're having a lease sale. If you want to nominate a lease, now's the time to do it, between now and X deadline, to nominate a tract, okay? For, I think it's $100 per tract. But in the past, we always throw in some of our own. Our geologist, Mr. Lynn, will always come up with a handful to throw in there. That's all we're gonna do here. We're just gonna throw in another 60. So we're gonna, just throw it in as a block. We're not 60 wells, but 27 tracts. For her to say that we have to have a special resolution just for this one property, I don't know why. Why this one property? They've already washed their hands of it.
I see what you're saying.
They won't evaluate them for us. They said, we don't care what you do with them. They're orphan wells now, you do with them what you want. That's the last thing they told us. That's just what my 2 cents.
Well, I'm gonna make a resolution, a motion.
Go ahead,
We
Jim.
sell all these off in one block, the minimum as stated for all the other leases. Now, I think, and I'm gonna say this, I think if we were negotiating, we need to get down to the brass tacks of the value, but we're not, we're auction.
Okay.
So it's gonna go, and that relieves our responsibility to do that, because they're gonna fight it out, not us.
So you want to make a motion to sell all these tracts, and we'll just revert to them as continental, which we recited them enough
Yes,
that I
I
know
know.
what we're talking about, as one block, with the equipment included, in as-is condition, without warranty of title. Right?
I'm gonna back up and say, all the BIA needs from us is, we're gonna sell it in a block and a minimum amount. There are regulations in place that covers all that.
Okay.
I don't think we need to
Okay,
recite them.
and what's the minimum that your resolution?
Minimum as stated for the rest, which is 4,500 for everything else, per lease acreage.
Just as a nomination. That doesn't say we'll accept that.
No, it's a minimum.
Yes.
They can't go below it, but they can go all the way to the ceiling on the auction. We've already heard 2 offers, one $750,000, and this one here today was $200,000. So let them battle it out. But that's, 200,000 is definitely over 4,500 as a minimum. So.
You have a motion on the floor? Did he give you the minimum as
I think it's 4,700.
4,700 per lease
Per lease.
times 27? Is that all we would need in this resolution?
Yeah, I'm here going with these numbers.
I need a second. At minimum. I can't do the minimum. You could, just under a nomination, that once you, I'm not gonna say anything.
Well, I guess it failed then. So
Well, I'm gonna ask again in just a second. I'm also waiting if anyone online would like. I'm gonna need a second to maintain this motion. Hearing none at this time, it is failed. Yes. And,
No, it's, I've got 47 times 27,
let's go ahead and adjourn.
26,000.
I'd like to motion to adjourn. So moved.
So moved. Second.
Second, I have a motion on the floor by Councilman Chichewala, seconded by Councilman Redcorn. Call for the question, please.
Councilman Redcorn,
Yes.
Councilman Rebar,
Yes.
Chairman Waller,
Yes.
Councilman Bickford,
Yes.
Councilman Chichewala,
Yes.
Councilwoman Curry. I'm sorry, did you say yes?
Yes.
Thank you, dear.
Motion passes.
Thank you, council.
Lisa, can I give you all these to get rid of?
Yes.
Okay. No, I can't.